The roar of the forgotten cage. The sun was high in the sky as the warm breeze rustled through the leaves, carrying with it the scent of the countryside. The quiet village near the forest was the perfect getaway for 13-year-old Ethan, his twin brother Liam, and their younger sister, Mia. The siblings had been eagerly awaiting their vacation at Grandpa Thomas's house, a quaint cottage nestled at the edge of the village. Grandpa had a vast backyard, with a small garden, old oak trees, and even a treehouse they used to play in when they were younger. It was the first day of their holiday, and the three children were already filled with excitement. Ethan and Liam were always the adventurous ones, often dreaming up new explorations and challenges. Mia, on the other hand, was more cautious, but she loved joining her brothers on their escapades. The three of them sat around the backyard, basking in the warmth of the sun, when a new idea struck them. "Why don't we explore the village today?" suggested Ethan, grinning at his siblings. "I bet there are tons of things we've never seen before." "I don't know," Mia hesitated. "Grandpa always says we should stay close to home. The village can be tricky to navigate." "Oh, come on. We'll stick together," Liam urged. "It'll be fun. We can find hidden paths and secret places. Who knows what we'll discover?" Mia rolled her eyes but agreed reluctantly. Okay, but I still think we should be careful." The children set off, leaving the familiar comfort of their grandpa's house and venturing toward the unknown parts of the village. They walked past the village square, with its small shops and the ancient church, and ventured deeper into the quiet woods at the village's edge. At first, the dense forest was inviting, with its tall trees casting cool shadows on the ground and the chirping of birds filling the air. The siblings felt a sense of wonder as they explored, jumping over roots and splashing in small streams. However, as they walked farther, the forest grew darker and the path became less clear. The sounds of nature around them shifted, and they soon realized they had wandered deeper than they intended. Guys, I think we should turn back," Mia said nervously, noticing how the trees seemed to close in on them. The sunlight was starting to fade, and the peaceful forest now felt more like a maze. "I don't like the look of this place." But Ethan, with his adventurous spirit, shrugged. "We're fine. We've just got to keep going a little farther, and we'll find our way back. This place is huge." "Yeah, no problem," Liam added, always ready for a challenge. As they ventured deeper into the forest, a sudden noise made them freeze. It was low at first, a deep, guttural sound that sent a shiver down their spines. Then it grew louder. A roar. It was a lion's roar. "Did you hear that?" Liam whispered, his face pale. Mia clutched her brother's sleeve. "It's a lion. What do we do? Lions don't live here, do they?" Ethan, sensing that the roar might just be a wild animal lost in the forest, led the way toward the sound. "Let's check it out. It could be interesting." They walked cautiously, staying close together. The trees seemed to close around them, and the air grew thick with tension. After what felt like an eternity, they stumbled upon a clearing. And there, to their surprise, was the source of the roar. A massive lion inside a rusted metal cage, its golden mane wild and its eyes filled with desperation. The lion's roar echoed through the forest again, but now it sounded different. It wasn't a roar of power, but a cry of distress. It paced back and forth in its cage, its body rigid with anxiety. The siblings stood frozen, their hearts racing. "Why is it in a cage?" Liam asked, his voice trembling. "It doesn't make sense. Lions aren't supposed to be here." Ethan stepped forward, his curiosity overriding his fear. "Maybe it's trapped," he said quietly. "We need to figure out why it's here." Suddenly, a movement caught their eyes. Behind the cage, nestled against a nearby tree, was a small lion cub. The cub was struggling to stand, dragging one of its legs painfully behind it. "Oh no," Mia whispered. "The cub's hurt. We have to help it." Without thinking twice, the siblings sprang into action. They moved cautiously toward the cub, trying not to alert the lion. The cub looked up at them with frightened eyes, its leg clearly injured. It tried to move, but it couldn't. "We have to find help," Ethan said, his voice determined. "We can't leave it like this." The siblings glanced around. The forest was vast, but they had no idea how to get help from here. They needed to find the village, or at least a road. They turned around and started running through the forest, trying to remember the way back, but the trees all looked the same. Every step they took only seemed to lead them deeper into the wilderness. After what felt like hours of frantic searching, they heard the distant sound of a car engine. The siblings rushed toward the sound, and soon enough, they stumbled upon a narrow dirt road. They didn't care where it led. They just needed to get back to Grandpa's house and find help. Out of breath and covered in dirt, they ran until they saw the familiar sight of Grandpa's house in the distance. Mia's heart swelled with relief, and the siblings rushed inside, breathless and panicked. "Grandpa! Grandpa!" Ethan shouted, his voice cracking with urgency. Grandpa Thomas looked up from his rocking chair, surprised by their sudden arrival. "What's all this noise about? You kids okay?" "There's a lion," Liam blurted out. "A lion trapped in a cage. And there's a hurt cub. We need help. Fast." Grandpa stood up, his brow furrowed in concern. "A lion, you say? That's strange. Let me call the forest officials. Stay here." Within minutes, Grandpa made a call, and the authorities arrived, followed by a group of forest rangers. The siblings, still shaken, led them back through the forest, showing them the path they had taken. When they arrived at the clearing, the lion was still pacing in its cage, and the injured cub was resting by the tree. One of the rangers, a tall woman with dark hair, approached the lion cautiously. "This is a dangerous situation," she said. "We'll get the lion out of the cage and make sure the cub gets the care it needs." The rangers carefully opened the cage and, with great care, sedated the lion before transporting it to a safe area. The cub, too, was gently carried out and examined by the forest medics. The cub had a leg injury, but it wasn't life-threatening. They treated it on the spot before preparing to reunite it with its mother. When the lion awoke, its eyes were no longer filled with desperation, but relief. The rangers carefully led the mother lion toward the cub, and for the first time in days, they were reunited. The lion's powerful roar echoed through the forest, but this time it was a roar of triumph, not distress. The siblings watched from a distance, their hearts swelling with happiness. They had helped the lion and its cub find each other again. It felt like a victory, a moment they would never forget. As the sun began to set, the forest officials turned to the children. "You did good, kids," one of the rangers said. "You saved that cub. We couldn't have done it without you." The siblings smiled at each other, their fear from earlier replaced by a sense of pride. They had done something important, something that made the wild world around them seem a little bit safer. That night, as they sat down for dinner at Grandpa's house, they shared their story, their eyes sparkling with excitement. Grandpa Thomas listened intently, shaking his head with a smile. Well, he said. "Seems like you've all had an adventure, haven't you?" Ethan, Liam, and Mia exchanged looks. The adventure had been unexpected, but it was one they would remember forever. And as they tucked themselves into bed that night, they could still hear the echo of the lion's triumphant roar in their minds. It had been the summer of a lifetime.